Welcome back to Class Winners Ranked. I'm Sam Bearer, car guy in chief at Class Winners Collector Vehicles and former automotive journalist. And today I've got my flame suit on. Why? Because it's time to rank JDM Kei Trucks. You know, the most popular JDM imports. And I know that everybody's going to have an opinion on which make and model is the best and which one is the worst. Well, I've driven a lot of them. I've owned a lot of them. And I'm going to take the opportunity to tell you which ones I think rank in order. So stick around, get ready to comment, subscribe, and like. And if you think I'm wrong, let me have it. All right, let's begin. So the first thing we have to do is kind of set ground rules, because Kei trucks have been around for a very long time and there have been multiple generations. And for our purposes, we're talking about the 1990 to 1997, 1998 generations of Kei trucks. And these are all going to be 660cc class, 10 foot 10, and available in two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Most of the manufacturers from Japan have some type of offering in this category. Now, some manufacturers have various options that others don't. But for the most part, you could get them in two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. You can get them in a stick or an automatic. And you could even get a dump bed on there. You could get locking axles. So let's just talk about the basics and then go from there. So competing in today's rankings are the following models: the Daihatsu HiJet, the Suzuki Carry, the Subaru Sambar, the Honda Acty, and the Mitsubishi Minicab. Now, a lot of these were actually sold under other names, either within Japan or in other markets. But let's just settle on those. The pickup trucks all had van versions as well. The Honda Acty had the Honda Street. The Daihatsu HiJet had the Daihatsu Atrai. The Mitsubishi Minicab had the Mitsubishi Bravo. Suzuki Carry had the Suzuki Every. And the Subaru Sambar had the Subaru Sambar Diaz. Now, for those of you who are new to the JDM Kei truck market space, there are some things you just have to understand. First and foremost, all of the manufacturers, so no matter which make or model you're looking at, it's basically going to be built to a pretty standard formula. 2 seats, a truck with a 6.5-foot bed with fold-down sides and a fold-down tailgate. The whole length will be about 10 feet 10 inches long, and the package will weigh plus or minus 30 or 40 pounds of 1,800 pounds overall. You can get it in two-wheel drive or you can get it in four-wheel drive. Since all are powered by a 660cc class overhead cam, naturally aspirated engine, they're basically going to be designed for in-city use. Now, most of them can achieve highway safe and legal speeds of about 60 miles an hour. Some, like the 38 horsepower Honda Acty, will have trouble maintaining 60 miles an hour going up any kind of grade, while others, like the Suzuki Carry at 42 horsepower, can actually sustain almost 65 miles an hour going up a slight grade. But any of them are going to be turning well over 6,000 and sometimes upwards of 6,500 RPMs at 65 miles an hour. So that means with very little sound deadening and very high RPMs, it's going to be a noisy affair. So if you're planning on sustained highway travel, don't be the person who drafts the 7'2" Lithuanian center to be the flyer on the varsity cheerleading squad. I mean, pick the right tool for the job. There are other vehicles that are better for highway travel. Because all of the Kei trucks are nearly identical in their specifications in the exterior, what I find is the largest issue and why people choose one over the other in terms of make and model, aside from brand loyalty, is ergonomics. So let's rank in ergonomics. And at the bottom, it's the Honda Acty, for one very simple reason. It has the least amount of interior leg and knee and shin space. So if you are over 6'1", the Honda Acty is simply going to be tight. None of them are particularly spacious, but it is noticeably tighter in the Honda Acty cabin. That being said, all the materials in the seats and the door panels and the switchgear is all Honda quality, and it's fantastic. And even, Honda offers a tachometer when other brands don't. And, that's a plus. But if you don't fit, you're not going to enjoy it no matter what else is in the cockpit. So it gets the bottom because it's the least comfortable. So above them, it is absolutely a tie between the Kei, the HiJet, and the Minicab. They're all basically the same. The HiJet has maybe a little bit more room for larger feet, while the Kei might have a little bit more headroom with the way the seats are in, but they're all basically the same. Now, in number one, that first place, it's the Subaru Sambar by a country mile, because it actually has more legroom than any of the others. Now, I can't tell you why, because on paper, they all seem to pencil out just about the same. But at 6'4", I can tell you that I am absolutely the most comfortable in a Subaru Sambar. It's time to talk about engine and power. And here we have a tremendous range of vehicles. Again, in last place is the Honda Acty. We have to broach the subject of top speed. Now, in four-wheel drive specification, Honda rates the top speed at 64 miles an hour. In rear-wheel drive, the top speed is listed at 74 miles an hour. Can you take them on the highway? Yeah, you can. But they're not great long-distance tourers if you're going to be between 65 and 70 mile an hour zones. Just about hitting 60, and we're about 5,500 RPMs. Now, Honda makes absolutely wonderful engines, but throughout most of the 90s, the Honda Acty and its Kei 3-cylinder overhead cam carbureted engine just simply wasn't producing the necessary horsepower to keep it competitive with the rest of the vehicles in the class. Now, tied are the Mitsubishi Minicab and the Daihatsu HiJet. They both absolutely offer around the same power output. They can go on the freeway, although they're pretty high revving. And they have a decent amount of torque, but they lag just under the Suzuki and its high revving F6A engine. At the top is the Subaru Sambar, and it gets this for actually two different reasons. The first, it's a 4-cylinder engine. Because it's a 4-cylinder, its ability to produce horsepower and torque and combine with certain gear ratios enables it to feel a little more torquey down low while also providing the higher end horsepower necessary to be on the freeway for a while. Now, finally, while very rare and extremely desirable, you can get a Subaru Sambar with a supercharger, a factory belt-driven supercharger, and it actually gives you the ability to do 85 miles an hour up a hill. Now, finding a 5-speed supercharger pickup is really rare. But here's an example of what it was like to drive those specifications in a Sambar Diaz van. It was pretty cool. So we're actually getting onto a highway right now, and we're in 4th gear, going up an incline, and we'll go into 5th gear. And we're gonna get into the fast lane. And ladies and gentlemen, uphill, we're accelerating. We're past 62. We're now at 110 kilometers per hour. 110 is about 68 miles an hour. So the Sambar Diaz supercharger, it's got long legs in the sense that it has a really high top speed. In fact, it's got the legal K maximum top speed of 85 miles an hour. And I've actually explored it. A few days ago, I had it out in a high-speed zone, and it'll not only hit that speed, but it'll do it again uphill, accelerating in 5th gear with the air conditioning on full blast. How can you not love that? Now it's time to talk about transmissions. Now, all of them are available in some form of automatic and manuals. Some of them had 4-speed manuals like the Suzuki Carry as a base, and then you could get a 5-speed as an option. Some of them, like the Sambar and the Acty, you could get a 5-speed also with an extra low gear with the 4-wheel drive versions. All in all of them shift really well. There's really nothing to differentiate them in the manual form. Now, in automatic form, there we've got a different issue. At the bottom, Subaru Sambar and their electronic CVT automatic is notoriously plagued with problems. We just tell people avoid the automatics at all costs because, like the eCVT equipped Justies that came to the United States, they have a tendency to have about 2 or 3 different problems that will just leave you either crawling or completely stranded. And there aren't many parts available. So unless you do not know how to row your own gears, we strongly suggest a manual over an automatic. Now, if you need an automatic, we suggest not the Subaru and certainly not a Mitsubishi, which also has a tendency for their Mitsubishi automatics in the case to have some severe problems. But if you can find an automatic in any of the others, go for it. It's time for differentiating factors in the layouts of the vehicles, because this actually has a huge impact on the way you drive them, and even more importantly, the way they're serviced. So let's start with the Suzuki Carry, the Mitsubishi Minicab, and the Daihatsu HiJet. All of those are cab-over designs where the engines are underneath the driver and passenger seats. In the Suzuki, the engine is the furthest forward. In the Daihatsu and in the Mitsubishi, the engines are slightly further back, more towards the front of the bed than just directly under the seats. Now, as this plays out in terms of drivability, you'll notice that in two-wheel drive mode in these vehicles, they will have a tendency to spin the rear tires when there's no weight in the rear, like pulling over a bump or a curb or any type of hill where it gets a little bit slick. Now, in the Subaru and Honda, those engines are more mid-engine, with the Honda having its engine above and directly in front of the rear axle, and the Subaru above and directly behind the rear axle. Now, those vehicles, even in two-wheel drive mode, have enough weight over those rear drive wheels so that you almost never need four-wheel drive to do what you need to do. Traction is really great. And handling is also really good because with driver and passenger up front and the weight of the engine on the rear axle, it's very balanced. Whereas the Mitsubishi, the Suzuki, and the Daihatsu have a tendency to push a little into the corners. So what that means is, when it comes to drivability and capability and just kind of those overall handling dynamics, we'd probably put it as Mitsubishi and Daihatsu and Suzuki all tied, with the Subaru Sambar in second place and the Honda up in first, because you can really throw the Honda around and even drift it, and it's a hoot. But in speaking about engine placement, that also affects the way that we can service it and the access to doing things like timing belt changes. And here we have some clear winners and losers. At the very bottom, it's the Daihatsu HiJet. While the HiJet itself is very easy to work on in terms of access to the engine parts, and actually doing a timing belt on a HiJet engine is pretty straightforward. But where it loses so much is that it is almost impossible to put a HiJet onto a two-post lift safely because of where the weight is in the vehicle. And if you look on YouTube, you can see number of videos of HiJets tipping over forwards and falling on their noses off two-post lifts. Then it comes to Mitsubishi. Now, the reason that Mitsubishi falls under the Suzuki when they have very similar placement is because the parts availability for Mitsubishis in the K class is not as good as parts availability for Suzuki's, which shared a lot of the components of its F6A engine with a bunch of its other vehicles. So there are just more parts out there, and they're easier to get, and they're cheaper, and they can get to you quicker. So they're easy to work on, but still that placement of under the seat and in between the access panel in the front of the truck bed makes it hard to tune the carburetor or get at linkages or small little things that put you, well, you've got to twist and torque your body to get at those things, whereas in the other vehicles, it's a little bit easier. Now, in terms of access and serviceability, in second place, it's got to be the Honda. Parts are available. There's access through not only the panel in the truck bed, but also by taking off the rear wheels and having immediate access to the timing belt. And in the Honda, there's actually even an external fill for the oil. So you generally don't even have to take an engine cover off to do the typical things you need to do, like check the oil and fill it back up. In first place, without a doubt, the Subaru Sambar, because its rear engine configuration means that you have 3 points of access. You have the access panel in the truck bed. You have the ability to take off the rear driver's side wheel to be looking at the timing belt, and you can actually drop down the rear bumper and have access to the spark plugs and all of the ignition components. It's fantastic. And honestly, it has to be the single easiest timing belt change in modern history. Parts are available, they're cheap. I mean, it's a no-brainer on this one. So where does that leave us? Well, here are the final rankings. Now, this is going to cause some friction. But in last place, it's the Mitsubishi Minicab. Quite honestly, they don't have much of a following in the US, and parts are a little harder to get. And, well, there's really nothing to differentiate them as being better in anything. Now, above the Mitsubishi Minicab, that's the Honda Acty. It's saved by its fabulous handling and its ability to be easily serviced. Yes, it is cramped. Yes, it is the least powerful and the slowest. But for in and around city vehicle, it's still a really great, comfortable, high quality rig. And if you want one with two-wheel drive, you're going to get the traction of a four-wheel drive-esque vehicle because it is just so capable due to its weight balance. So next, it's a tie between the Daihatsu HiJet and the Suzuki Carry, as well as the Suzuki Carry's platform twins, the Mazda and Autozam Scrum. So let's talk about the Daihatsu. All around, it's a very good, capable rig. And while I don't like putting them up on a lift because they're dangerous up there, what does set the HiJet apart is that there are actually a couple of different cool versions about the HiJet. Both the deck van, which is essentially a Atrai van with a small little bed in back, kind of like a trunk cut off. Totally useless, but it looks really cool. More useful is the HiJet Jumbo, which gives you, well, let's just call it an extended cab because that's really what it is. And while it's really hard to find a good, clean Jumbo, it does offer that unique ability to have a little room behind the seats to put stuff where none of the others have that option. Now, the Suzuki Carry, I think, while it does give up the traction with its front waist bias, the engine is fantabulous. It's high revving and everything we like about all the other F6A powered Suzukis. So torquey is this little engine that, well, we'll show you. Let's get into third gear. You can actually come from a full stop in third gear and get going. It revs to the moon, it's got power, and even if you don't have a tachometer, suffice it to say, it'll rev more than you think it'll rev. So if you take it on the freeway, you can right lane it and you're gonna run forever without blowing it up as long as your vehicle's in good condition. on the whole, they're well made. Having that ability to select four-wheel and two-wheel drive quickly, well, it just works well. And I know many people who have owned Keis for years, and they are diehard fans. And that brings us to the class winners ranked winner of the JDM Kei class trucks, the Subaru Sambar. Now, I've made the joke before, my name is Sam Bearer, and what do you call a guy who loves a Subaru Sambar, a Sambar? But it's really more than that joke. It is the most capable, it is a absolutely solidly engineered vehicle. It's a great four-cylinder engine that's completely understressed. It shifts well, it handles well, it is absolutely unstoppable in snow and ice. It's easy to service, easier than all the rest. Prices are no higher than they are for the other vehicles. There are a good number of them out there to choose from. And despite the problem with the electronic, continuously variable transmission automatic, the 5-speeds are phenomenal. So with that, you can even up it more by finding yourself a supercharged one, and you've got a great rig that is pretty rare and can do highway speeds anywhere. And in fact, one of our customers took a supercharged Sambar Diaz, the van version, and drove it from Seattle all the way down to Southern California without a hiccup. I mean, that's really impressive. So there it is. What do you think? You think I'm crazy? You think I'm right? Put your comments below, and don't forget to like and to subscribe. Again, I'm Sam Bearer for Class Winners Collector Vehicles and Class Winners Ranked. We'll see you next time.